Welcome back to Intel Extreme Masters Shanghai. Guys, we just had a crazy series go on there. Really nice victory by Dark in the end.
Yeah, I loved it. And I love what he said in the interview as well. He's like, I just wasn't feeling it today. And that's kind of the feeling that you had when you watch him at first, right?
Yeah.
Every series he started off with some sort of lackluster build where it's almost like, I'm Dark, I'm just going to try to do this, and it didn't work. And it's like, man, I have to go deeper, don't I? And he had to battle so hard. I think on Odyssey, I mean, it's a cliche when you say, like, almost any other Zerg would have died, but it really looked like it.
Yeah.
He was down like 35, 40 supply. That's terrible as a Zerg against Terran, but he did such a good job in like somehow winning the big fights, dragging this game on and on. Meanwhile, Bunny was really channeling his inner bomber by never building a fort base and just floating over CCs left and right. But I loved game 2. I thought it was super impressive. And game 3 was also pretty hard for Dark, but that's where he already seemed a little bit more calm and collected, where even if he was under pressure, he still kept it together. I feel for Bunny, but you know, those, as you said it best off stream, we have enough good Terrans in this tournament, so it's maybe good that Dark advanced.
Indeed, you are right about that. But our next match, which will be our last match of the night, finishing out Group B, it's Stats going up against iAsonu. And this guy, he already took out Gumiho. He already brought Stats to the limit, really. Game 3 was a base trade. So, I mean, what do you think? Is this something iAsonu can continue this upset?
Yeah, I think so. Like, he played really well earlier. He had chances to win in game 3, early in the game, later in the game when he was down and out. He made a game out of it. So going into another series, I think he can look back, take confidence off of beating Gumiho, and just be like, yeah, let's do this. Let's take down 2 GSL champs in one day.
Well, that would be something big for iAsonu. In fact, I think it's not hard to say that that would be his best result. In fact, there's few people who would ever have a result that good, right? Beating both Gumiho and Stats to get out of a group. But now we have DX Master up there, the last match again of the entire day. To see who will move on, are we going to have a Protoss player make it through? What do you think, Roddy?
I think so, but this is one of these moments where maybe we win either way. Either we get one of the Protosses, make it into the quarterfinals, which is obviously good for the ratio distribution.
Yeah.
But if iAsonu makes it, that would be fantastic for this hometown crowd. I mean, I agree with Waddy though. He looked all right. I definitely don't think it's a given that Stats wins here.
Yeah.
But it would be odd, like something really weird has to happen. Stats either has to go incredibly stubborn and just not scout and play overly greedy. But normally if Stats like scouts properly, doesn't wait too long with stuff like a Mothership Core and goes for a safe opener like 1-gate Stargate, there shouldn't really be any build that can truly catch him off guard.
But, I mean, Rogue kind of caught him off guard, didn't he?
Yeah, but I think against Rogue he plays more greedy than he has to against iAsonu, where you don't probe scout after Nexus Wars, where you don't make a Mothership Core. Like, I feel if you play against aggressive Zergs like iAsonu, you're being really stubborn if you play the same way against iAsonu as you would do against, let's say, Dark or Rogue.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with you right there. The crowd really getting into this now.
Man. I love it.
They are standing up and clapping here. Hopefully this is for iAsonu to come out. But yeah, I mean, you know, at least that last series against Stats, I really like some of the ways that iAsonu plays, even in the late game. Yeah. Like the fact that he went into mutas, but it was like 5 or 6, right? Trying to force a counter, but Stats stayed too calm, and then he went into a base trade later on and stuff. Like, I like a lot about his play. So while I like agree that Stats doesn't have to play as greedily against him because he's not necessarily as scary as Rogue, like I think that there is a lot of great late game plays coming out of iAsonu that we aren't giving him credit for.
Yeah, I mean, I think late games where Stats is just so good as well, though. I mean, think back to Katowice when he took down Dark in that game 5 on Newkirk.
Yeah.
That's like, do you ever want to play against someone like that who can control that sort of army? Probably not. So I think that's iAsonu's issue. Like, he may have been looking good in the later stage of the game, but we didn't really get to see Stats in a later stage of the game either, as there they are, coming on out.
I mean, those stats don't lie, do they? 17-1 against Chinese players. 4 stats, while iAsonu is 39-68. And before people think like, 39-68, that's terrible. I actually don't think that's bad at all.
That's really good.
Because he always plays against the very best.
Yeah,
like, he's not grinding weaker Koreans. Like, no, he's playing top-tier guys. So the fact that he wins like 1 out of 3 series, I actually find pretty damn impressive.
It actually really is, because iAsonu is one of these guys that pops up in basically all the tournaments, right? In fact, even next week, we're going to see him in GSL versus the World. So definitely,
he play? Do you know?
First round innovation. Guys, he just beat Gumiho.
Yeah.
He just beat Gumiho 2-0. Come on.
He did. But yeah, I mean, that's why I say like those numbers, they actually are, obviously stats numbers are way more impressive.
Yeah.
17-1, and I don't want to spin it any other way, but that is not as bad as it looks because he plays against the very, very best Koreans over and over again.
I actually wonder who his loss is against. What if it's against IESonu?
Maybe,
Probably like Jim or something.
maybe Time.
Time? Oh, could be. Could be.
See it, Time.
Time's in good shape. We'll be seeing him play tomorrow, of course. Guys, help us out. Spread the word. Hashtag IEM. This is such a sick tournament with the players that are playing here. It's like, if you look at who's already advanced as well, like TY, we have Dark up there, Rogue, #1 on the ladder.
Yeah, this is going to be like a top 8 that could be a GSL top 8.
Yeah.
Then we're not exaggerating whatsoever. Like
No, totally not.
Yeah.
I mean, Dark, he's always had a hard time in GSL, but if he's doing well in this tournament, like let's say Dark wins here, is he not locked for BlizzCon? He's getting close at least.
Look at Wax, he's on the money. He's like, yes, the loss was versus Time. Good job, Roddy.
Wow.
I love you, Wax Angel.
Look at that.
He's so sharp.
Yeah, he is. Either that or he hates me. This is not even true. It actually is iAsonu who beat him. He's like, I'll get that, Artusis.
It doesn't happen often that Seth loses, so they jump out a little more. It's going to be a fun series, guys. I really think it's going to be fun. Hopefully it's not going to be like all-out aggression. Give us some long games. Give us some cool multitasking. And, you know, even if iAsonu has to go out here, I do really hope that he pushes him to the limit.
Yeah, you know what? I think he will. I'm giving Stats a victory, but only 2-1. What do you guys say?
I think Stats is going to win it. I think it's going to be 2-1 as well. I think iAsonu takes the first map once again.
Okay. Roddy?
I called it 2-1 earlier today, but I have a feeling that this time, like Stats with tournament live on the line, I can't see him make the same mistake. So I think it's going to be 2-0, but I hope that both games are going to be very close and competitive. And I also hope I'm wrong. I hope it is 2-1 either way for either iAsonu or Stats.
Yeah.
But if I was a gambling man, which I'm just not, but you know, in an alternate universe.
No, you're not a gambling man at all.
But in an alternate universe where I would enjoy a cheeky bet, I would probably go for a 2-0.
Okay. Well, we can all cross our fingers and hope one day that cheeky universe will exist.
Yeah, it would be fun.
But guys, we are getting close to the last match of the night. Will our first of 2 Chinese players make it through? Or will Stats ratchet up, as you say, Roddy, and just nail him down with a 2-0? We'll see in a minute, won't we?
Yeah, we will indeed.
I thought you were going to throw it to the casters. I was like,
I was, but we're not ready yet.
Okay. No, it's going to be good then. Wardy, any final thoughts? Anything you would like to see? Like, let's say you're iAsonu's coach. What would you like to see him do?
Win. I mean,
that's good coaching right there.
You know, I think if he goes into this and plays his style, which is unorthodox, and he doesn't get too carried away or anything, I think he can do very well. So.
Okay, well, that is enough from us. Time to go over to the casters. It's going to be the 2 coolest looking ones in the whole lineup. It's Maynard and Todd. Guys, take it away.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Artosis. The 2 most handsome and wonderful casters in the whole world, Todd and myself, are going to be casting one of the best series you could ask for. The hometown hero, here in the top left, this is iAsonu. And in the bottom right, the Season 2 GSL champion, this is Stats.
Already going for his scout. No more shenanigans.
Yeah, that's right. Early scouting and no surprises here after the last series that they faced each other. iAsonu very aggressive with his timings and his big all-ins.
And the loss to Rogue, I think, sting quite a bit. The proxy hatchery.
Yeah.
Stats says no more. You saw the smile that he had, by the way, when they were waiting on stage. He was like smiling as if saying, all right, I guess I gotta be that guy that eliminates the Chinese guy in front of the Chinese crowd. It has to be done.
You know what? I don't think Stats feels bad for 1 minute if that's what happens here on stage. I mean, iAsonu, obviously the overwhelming crowd favorite, but when you look at the numbers, when you look at the cold hard stats, no pun intended, it is the Protoss player that's going to be looking on top of this series. But iAsonu, like Wax Angel already put up an incredible stat, and that is that he's already eliminated the Season 3 champion. Will he eliminate the Season 2 champion here in front of his home crowd? It'd be such a magical moment for iAsonu if that's the case.
Yeah, Stats has looked very far from flawless,
Yeah,
but it's not like, you know, he's lost in straight up macro games and like just been completely outdone. Like I feel like the 2 games that he lost against Rogue, it's very easy to look at those games and be like, all right, you know what, these don't even count. They weren't even real games. Like, the guy knew that I wasn't gonna scout. He went for a proxy hash, and in the other game, he did an all-in that I luckily for him didn't scout. So in this case, even though he dropped a map against iAsonu earlier, he's definitely going to have learned from that. And I feel like Stats definitely should be the big favorite heading into this matchup. But iAsonu is not one of those guys that you can overlook. He's really strong.
Yeah, be taking him very seriously here in this final series of the day. Of course, the winner goes on to the round of 8, and the loser is removed from the tournament, and that is going to be that for whoever loses this series, and it's just a single best of 3 to see who goes on.
That's a pretty cool wall, by the way.
Yeah.
When you do this wall here at Stats, you leave yourself the option of walling off here with a gateway if you need to, or you can wall off on the right-hand side if there's nothing coming. And in this case, he even cancels the gateway knowing that he's safe, and I'm pretty sure that the pylon's going to go down on the right-hand side of that adept here momentarily.
Yeah, just to get that wall in completely tucked in tightly, and as we see that Stats has tucked away a nice little production structure in the back. It is going to be a Stargate halfway done here, but iAsonu is going to see this with his scouting overlord, well timed by iAsonu. He's going to see that it's going to very likely go into oracles and start producing the gateway units. We saw that Stats kind of blocked the natural a little bit with his probe, forcing iAsonu to take the 3rd base for his natural, but he can now retake that base, get up to 3 hatcheries.
Who has impressed you the most today?
I mean, I'm such a fan of him, and he's just impressed me this whole tournament. What I expected was TY to play as well as he did. Like, I always expect TY to be the best player in a tournament, and today he's actually showed off that he is. So for me, it's been him.
Oh, gets the overload here, those stats.
That's a nice pick-off. As a supply block here for iAsonu, and a very heavy supply block as well. He has to get these 2 overlords out before he can produce anything else.
You know who my MVP of the day is?
Rotterdam?
DX Master.
Yes. Close.
That guy's killing it with the crowd, man. He makes them stand up and clap. Like, who else can do that?
I mean, as a hype guy myself, I actually just watch him in awe, and I'm very impressed. So I wish I had that energy. I wish I had that command of the crowd that he seems to have.
Maybe someday you'll be the Australian DX Master, you know?
Maybe.
Kind of Kailaris.
The Australian Chinese DX Master Kailaris. One day I'll be that good. The Stats is Oracle, of course. We predicted it's going to be coming across the map here for a little bit of drone damage, more scouting, and then getting that Phoenix to shoo away those overlords as well as he gets into the mid-game. Starting to get that adept production as well for his beefy ground army. Getting into that natural. No drones here yet. Just the Spore Crawler going down for iAsonu.
Good for Lynx, actually. Whoa. Didn't expect it here from Stats. I guess he's going to take what he can here in that location before pulling back behind this. The Twilight Council has yet to start. It's just going to be more adepts warped in. He's actually going across the map here. His Stats. That one overlord will spot that early, though. There is one just above these adepts right now. So he should have enough for the defense if he starts making units here. And only units right now.
Yeah. iAsonu's actually reading this really well, making these Lings in time deal with these adepts. Also getting +1 attack for the Lings so that he can get into that mid-game with those Lings and with those Hydras. See, the lair just started now for iAsonu. And he's getting the drones out as well as he can as well, because there is always the possibility of taking damage when there's this many adepts, even if you have the units ready. Cancels his shade.
I like that Stats cancelled that. He should stay here inside of that ramp. Make sure he doesn't give too much surface area on these Lings to surround him. Stasis ward in the main base. He's going to land big time on a lot of these drones.
Oh, yeah. It looks like 6 drones getting caught there in the Stasis ward.
So, as much as Stats didn't do much damage here on the walkers by killing a lot of them, he basically made the most of the army that he had. He prevented iAsonu from droning up further while taking his own third. This is great here. Great work from Stats already, and I really feel like this is the way he should be playing against iAsonu. He doesn't need to be getting overly aggressive, because then he enters iAsonu's territory and, gets dragged in the mud. Just play a longer game, keep on teching, do everything right.
Yeah.
A quick infestation pit here. iAsonu might be wanting to go for those swarm hosts again here that we saw earlier.
He did that on this map as well. A very fast infestation pit, getting those like 8 to 10 swarm hosts out and just harassing the naturalism, abusable terrain on an abyssal reef. And also you can see that Stats, he's trying to play for his strength here. He's going into charge, he's getting his Templar archives. He wants to get that splash damage, that ultimate late game Protoss army as quickly as possible.
As a pro player, do you know what will haunt you the most?
I'll never be good enough to know. You tell me.
Your losses. Like when you take a loss to something like Swarm Host, like the way Stats did earlier, you're definitely going to want to think exactly how to counter it for a long time. Like I saw Stats, backstage, kind of walking around, being really thoughtful, and he looked like he was seriously thinking about stuff. And I'm pretty sure that will be on how to play better against Zerg and iAsonu in particular in this case, who he knew he was going to face again, because we've known about this matchup for some time. iAsonu beat Gumio a while back. So in this case, Stats, he's definitely already ready in his head for the Swarm Host, I think. Even though he hasn't particularly scouted it, he did see, he flew over the infestation pit, but I'm not sure he clicked on time. So this time around, I expect him to be way better prepared against it than he was the last time.
I mean, he's getting a ton of production, charge nearly done, and he has enough tools to be able to catch Swarm Hosts. But the Swarm Hosts aren't that horrifying unit and harder to swarm that they once were. They can be caught with their pants down, and when they're on cooldown, they are just walking gas fountains that don't actually do anything. So we're coming in here, he's going to try and shoot off some of these locusts, but now the Swarm Hosts are very naked unless the Lings come in to get this around here, and there's no mother to call for recall or anything like that. Stats does have the Warp Prism to be able to micro back these adepts, and he does use it very, very well here. Does he have enough though?
Yeah, that Archon here trying to get rid of some of these Swarm Hosts. The Queen's moving in to try and snipe the Warp Prism, but they overextend a little bit, and Stats is going to turn around. Remember, he has the mobility. If he was to send that Warp Prism in the main base and did a big warp in, iAsonu would be in trouble here because he's throwing away a lot of units. I'm actually surprised to see Stats that actually keeps going for this. Yeah, the next wave of Locust should clean up.
I mean, the Locust Wave's going to recharge momentarily here for iAsonu, and he'll be able to clean up this army. These Archons are very hurt. There's not many force fields left on these sentries. There's not a whole lot of Zealots. So I feel like Stats should pull back and just take it easy here, but he thinks otherwise. He's going to load up this Prism with 2 Archons. I actually really like this. Going to use those Archons to harass the mineral lines, get the Queens, get the drones, do some econ damage here to iAsonu.
Yeah, but there's 2 spores here to the back of that mineral line, so Stats going to have to be really careful. I don't think most Protosses would expect 2 spores to be there as well. You don't want to start flying in there and taking a lot of damage. Storm's going to start as well as +2 weapons. And in the meantime, we've got the 4th base up earlier here for Protoss, which is definitely great. Like iAsonu hasn't saturated his 4th base at all here right now.
That's a bit of a wasteful bit of units here. A bunch of Banelings and also Lings dying to this Archon. The Warp Prism is warping in range of a Queen, but we have a battle here in the front of the natural help Stats. The Archon gets picked off there by the Locust. Warp Prism nearly going down, but not quite. These Archons still getting a lot of damage done.
Yeah, there is a Queen in the main, but iAsonu not choosing to send that to try and get rid of that Prism. And it looks like he might be going in the counter-attack. That Prism still across the map is going to be a real danger. iAsonu cannot underestimate that because, like I said, Zealot Warpings are going to be very dangerous every single time.
Yeah, they have +1, they have charge. When you get a big warp in under the court, he's going to do a lot of damage. This one Prism at the top, getting a little bit low here, still has an Archon on the side of it, but he is going to just mosey on away.
And there is one at the bottom.
And yeah, that's a double Warp Prism play here from Stats.
So it's like a pylon that you can't snipe with just Lings because it's flying. So in this case, Stats can just keep on warping in Zealots. The fact that there is a lot of units across the map for iAsonu is going to make it even harder for him to defend back at home.
And he pulls the probes back nicely here, only loses a couple and storms those Locusts. Taking this very, very seriously here. Overcharge is going down as well just to burn down the rest of these Locusts, and now the Swarm Hosts just waiting for a recharge to put on more damage. And iAsonu actually getting a lot of Banelings here, 34 Banelings and 4 more Swarm Hosts. So starting to beef out those Swarm Host numbers, making them incredibly difficult to deal with when you have that many Locusts on the field. I feel like when you have like this many Swarm Hosts, you can actually just maybe send off half of them for the Locust Swarm and keep the others to the defense, just in case they get caught.
Yeah, but iAsonu wants to siege with everything and then focus on the defense back at home with mostly only Banelings and just try to blow everything up, basically. He's getting a ton more Lings here right now.
Yeah, look at the multitasking here as we're going to Stats' first-person view.
He's trying to catch those Swarm Hosts, but he knows that he can get swarmed as well by the Lings plus Locusts, and in this case, the Banelings are going to roll in.
Yeah, nice storms here from Stats. The Archon Stark tanking a lot of damage, but he doesn't have a whole lot left as soon as that gets cleaned up. The Locusts coming in, the Lings going for surround to try and lock on these Archons. There's just not enough hit points left on this Prism. It will go down eventually to those Queens, and the Locusts also tearing through Stats' army, and the Prism gets taken out before he gets that big warp in.
Wow.
Oh no, Stats is against the ropes here. iAsonu with 90 army supply over the 35 for the Protoss.
iAsonu in a great position now. There is only one Warp Prism he needs to worry about on his side of the map. He's blowing up every single unit that comes out of it, and now the Swarm Hosts, they're going to be uncontested. I can't believe that Stats is struggling so much against this. I really thought he was going to be ready, but iAsonu seems to be a master of the Swarm Host here on this map.
Once again, iAsonu going for this exact same build that he did last time he faced Stats on this very same map, and Stats again not finding the answers here. He's starting to throw in Immortals to maybe help out against these Swarm Hosts, but I feel like it might just be a little bit too late at this point. He's down 70 army supply now, and Stats is just trying to he has to pull back to his Nexus and just hold strong against this free unit wave. Like, it's not like iAsonu is losing units when he does this. It's just free Locusts flying in to get the free damage done.
Okay, that's to the Nexus, Maynard. And that's not nothing.
No, that's absolutely something, Todd. National Nexus taken out. The robotic facility actually in trouble as well. It's going to go down. The Locust tearing apart this whole natural base. Oh, even the Templar Archives unpowered. I mean, Stats just is forced to repower everything and take that natural, but he is in dire straits, man. There's no other way to say it. I don't see an answer here for Stats as iAsonu takes commanding lead in this game.
Yeah, morphing in 27 more banelings. He's gonna go up to over 40 banelings. He doesn't take that many to make Arthos. He's happy, but I guess he'll do it anyway.
Oh, he's Chargelots cashing in some of the Swarm hosts, but again, they are off cooldown now. They can start to shoot those Locusts, but never mind. The Baneling's going to keep them alive anyway. I think the addition of the Banelings is really smart here for iAsonu. Chargelots, Archons, that sort of thing, just not as scary when you have this many Banelings to be able to push them back.
And Locusts in particular, they're really hard to deal with. As soon as they start landing, they do a lot of damage. Storms are going to have to be used every single time, and they surround these Archons, which make it even harder to use Storm.
And all of the Chargelots on the right-hand side die to the Banelings as well. Stats trying to hold strong here, but every time those Locusts shoot off, he gets further and further behind. Only 2 Swarm hosts have died in this game, and iAsonu has killed so many Protoss units. 10 Archons, 54 Zealots have died in this game.
There's still 21 Swarm hosts. That's a lot of Locusts that are going to be spammed every single time. The Swarm hosts actually moved a little bit far out of position here. Nice micro here from Stats, picking up this Archon every single time here into the War Prism. Phoenixes should get to work here, as well as Historical. He could kill a lot of these guys.
Yeah, he's dropping the Archons on the Swarm host. I love the Archon drop on the Swarm host. It's a great decision here from Stats. He does need to have an incredible trade to try and win this game. He needs to get into these Swarm hosts and start killing them off. He's finding it so hard. The Locust is zoning him out here.
Get to work, Oracle. You're not doing anything.
This Oracle is on smoke break, just taking it easy. Maybe it can't handle the heat. Too hot here in Shanghai, too hot here at Abyssal.
There it is.
There we go. She's going to work now.
No,
not really. Laser beams, laser beams. Where's the laser beams? Okay, never mind.
Finally getting rid of some of these Swarm hosts there, thanks to the Phoenixes picking up these units. He's going to get some more as well here if Stats focuses properly on this. I can't believe this Oracle is just on follow.
Tagging the Swarm host there. I really think with that energy, he could have killed 1 or 2 Swarm hosts, maybe even 3.
But how about 10, man?
Or 10.
They're just standing there.
And these Archons should be able to deal with these Locusts not too badly. One of them neatly goes down, but he will recharge his shields and live to fight another day.
Robo will be remade behind this. It's very important, I think, to keep up with the Immortal production eventually. Like, you want to reach a good count. Right now, it's just 2 out on the map. I'm actually surprised there. We don't see a second Robo here from Stats, but he might be being a little bit paranoid about, upcoming siege and attacks. And he would be right to be, actually, because iAsonu is not done sieging at all here.
And Stats is warping in more and more Zealots, which, he kind of has to, but Zealots just feel really impotent against this army. Like the Banelings, the Swarm hosts, the Locusts just make it so hard for the Zealots to close the distance and do damage.
I think you found the best word to describe them, against this composition.
Impotent, yeah. And he's just warping in more and more, and he needs to get harassment done. He hasn't been on the other side of the map for a long time, has Stats. Like, he got over there and got pushed back, and since then, iAsonu has just been assaulting him constantly.
You see those Zealots on the top right-hand side? If those were to counter the natural, I think that would go a lot here for Stats, but right now he's focused on defending against these Swarmos there. Gets a pickup.
And the High Templar, actually, one of them gets picked up, another high-energy Templar, nearly getting down to the Glings. Oh, a big Locust swarm here coming into the 4th Nexus. Some of the Storms going down to keep those Locusts dead, but the Archons are starting to dwindle. Is this enough? Meanwhile, a big Zealot warping on the other side of the map for Stats.
Especially the High Templars here are all gone. There's not going to be any more Storms, and iAsonu is going to go for the attack. Zealot counter-attack across the map. He's going to walk in, but there were Banelings ready. That was a brilliant move for iAsonu. He had so many Banelings ready in that location. He knew that was the only real threat here.
And meanwhile, iAsonu continues to do more and more damage to Stats. He's really, really close to the middle line. Feedback's going down these Queens is a nice little move here from Stats, but I'm sure he would have rather had Storms with that army, making the Archons here the Oracle once again with a lot of laser beam energy. There we go, atta girl. Get in there.
Get to work, Slacker. It's time for you to kill some Swarm hosts. Zealots coming in from behind to try and catch these guys there. But the trades that iAsonu gets every single time are just so much better. Trading mostly Locusts here for units, suiciding in Banelings. Resources lost actually fairly even though Stats has lost more right now. They're on an equal base counts, which for this map is always going to happen. Pretty much Immortals are going for the Swarm host. Gonna be pushed back. He needs a couple more Hydralisks here to make sure that doesn't happen.
And he is starting to make those Hydras, so a good choice for iAsonu now. Stats is starting to make Void Rays as well to try and get that air army up. He just doesn't have an answer for the Swarm host just yet. He tried double Archon Warp Prism, didn't work out. Now he's got a Warp Prism with 2 Immortals in it to try and pick them off. And he just has to get into this Warp Prism, the Swarm house count if he needs to win this game. At the moment, he just keeps taking free damage from these Locusts.
Yeah, and the Mothership Core is actually going to fall. Void Ray goes down here. I think Stats was counting on that to try and clean up some of these Swarm hosts. The Immortals that he's remaking, they're not rallied. They're just in his natural doing nothing.
Yeah, they are now in this Warp Prism to get some hurt on. Zealot Warp in doing a lot of damage, actually getting 10 drones. And iAsonu not with much economy to speak of, actually. He's only on 44 drones.
Look at the natural of Stats. Okay, finally He picks up on it and he's going to move out with his Immortals. He needed to rally that earlier. He needed those guys. Maybe take it down the rocks even, right there next to his Cybercore. But now they have to go all the way around.
It's a little bit dangerous opening up that natural for a Ling run by something like that. But we see that iAsonu just keeps turning those Lings into Banelings. Another big Locust Swarm coming into this Nexus on the high ground. And they're going to burn it down. Easy peasy. See you, Nexus. Take it easy. And they're going to take out some Cannons and Zealots for their troubles as well.
Yeah, it's so sick. Every time these Locusts flying, there's so many of them. Like, you might have your entire army there, you're still going to lose units. Big whop in bottom left here from Stats. That's including Archons as well. I think he's got fed up with the amount of Banelings that were set up defensively. So what you want to do is wait here with these units for you to be attacked. And once you see that you're being attacked, you send that across the map, hoping that the Zerg won't have anything at home so that you can do economic damage.
This is actually, I mean, the economy of iAsonu isn't amazing, so extra harassment here from Stats. If he gets another 10 drones, that's going to force iAsonu to go all in or something like that, or hang back and make drones again. It looks like he is pulling back with a lot of units to defend, just with Lings and Hydras.
iAsonu's reaction time is sick. Oh, the Swarmos in the middle of the map almost went a little bit too far. They were super close to the army of Stats, but actually going to land Locust on top of it.
The Locust getting right on top of these High Templar. There's only 3 storms left here, maybe 4 storms left for Stats. He pulls back, doesn't get a boner, doesn't overextend with those storms. Keeps the energy in check.
Wow, what a sick game.
Prism getting a little bit low. Archons are going to win the day if they stay out of the Hydralisk range, and they do.
iAsonu is really making Swarmos look like the most viable strat almost here on this map. It's just as, I don't know, he executes it great, I think. Like, he's been getting better traits, and now he's going to be the tricky part where for Protoss to take a 6 base is going to be nearly impossible against the consistent siege of Locust, whereas for Zerg, it's going to be way easier, especially with the reaction time that iAsonu has had so far this game, where at best, Stat is sending Archons and Zealots to attack these bases, and iAsonu can just come back and clean that up every single time like he's been doing it.
Stats not deciding to storm those Locusts there, loses a few units. So Zealot run by here, going to catch this hatchery. iAsonu should be able to react and get these Zealots, but will they get them in time? It looks like they will.
And on the left-hand side, with some more units from Stats are going to be sent forward. There's the War Prism in that location as well. I'm surprised that he doesn't move in the middle of the map with his main army, but I guess every time Stats has done so, like the Locust came in and killed a lot of stuff, so
I'm actually surprised Stats is still alive, considering the lead that iAsonu had in this game. And as it stands, this economy of Stats has been what's keeping him alive, whereas iAsonu hasn't made a drone in a really long time.
Yeah.
He's just been losing drones and not replenishing the numbers.
You see what Stats doing, by the way, to try and counter the Swarmos moving around and them being too fast? He made a bunch of Phoenixes. So the goal is going to be to catch them, pick them up, and kill them eventually. If you can do that and kill, like, say, 6 or 7, then all of a sudden the army of iAsonu is going to be so much worse in an instant.
Forced to cancel here this Nexus here does iAsonu with a lot of those Lings. They are upgraded. There's the Hydras are also there to complement them. Just on Hydra Ling Bane at 20 minutes here, Todd. It's,
yeah. It's going to be tough to manage Phoenixes plus High Templars, but if, like I said, if Stats can catch a bunch of these Swarmos and kill them, it's going to be in a great position, because then all of a sudden the rest of the army of iAsonu is just Glass Cannon, Hydralisk, Ling, and Bane.
Looks like these Archons are going to get caught and killed by these Lings, though. It's a nice pick up there for iAsonu. Very expensive units.
Oh, in the middle, Swarmhost again at it.
Locust coming in again. Now, the Swarmhost count...
Just send the Phoenixes, mates. Come on.
Well, Stats is taking it easy. He's not trying to... He's afraid of the Hydralisks, I think. If he loses the Phoenixes, that's his answer there for the Swarmhost. The Prism and the Harassment and the Immortal drops didn't really work out.
Do Stats units, like his air units, they work for France or something? They're always on damn strike. Get to work.
They work for Lufthansa. So we have the Phoenixes finally catching an Overlord and taking it out. So they're going to start to join the battle here, and a bunch of the Zealots getting caught by iAsonu. He has Banelings, he has Lings to be able to clean them up. And Storm Drop here from Stats. Nice little play there, getting 5 drone kills. Again, this is actually 2 drones in the production tab here for iAsonu, where the first 2 drones I've seen in a while produced for him. He's on 34 workers right now. He's found it very hard to reinforce his numbers. The Swarm host has been so cost efficient for him, but everything else hasn't been really.
iAsonu's defense against the Prism has been impeccable the entire game. He's never taken damage anywhere or non-significant, and now he finds himself with a huge supply lead. 156 army supply to 82. And I think he might be time.
And he's going to go for it. He had a lead like this before with his army supply. This is a pretty intense, though. The Phoenixes can shoot the Locusts while they're in the sky, and then when they land, the Archon's doing the rest. And here comes the big attack from iAsonu. The Storms go down for Stats, but the Banelings connect with a lot of the Protoss army. Most of the Immortals are dead. Only 3 left here. And all the Zealots have to die as well. The Archons are gone. And it looks like Stats actually is out of Storm energy as well. There's not much juice left in the Tankley's Templar or for Stats.
Yeah, the attempt at a mothership here is almost cute at this point. I feel like Stats must be getting a little bit desperate. The next wave of Locust is going to be harder and harder to hold every single time. Phoenix is finally going to work, and there's no anti-air there. Other than for 2 Hydralisks, which somehow he chooses to spare. No, there we go.
Yeah, it takes him out, and it's going to shoot down the Locusts here with the Phoenix's good choice to throw them in, but there are so many Locusts. Storm's going down, softening up a lot of them. They are going to come in here and start to kill again, start to get into that mortal count, but this time Stats trades pretty nicely.
It's a nice defense, but he's running out of Storms here.
Yeah,
this counter-attack, like every single time, iAsonu is ready for those. I feel like Stats should have stopped doing these for a long time ago. He's essentially throwing away a lot of units.
Yeah.
He's trying to force iAsonu back, which for a second here is going to work. But look at that crit spread, it's way across the map.
I feel like Stats is playing PvZ against any other Zerg, but not really playing it against iAsonu. Like this is what you normally do against regular Zergs, but iAsonu is not your regular Zerg. He's gone for this wonky Swarm Host style, which Stats clearly doesn't have a whole lot of experience against. He's finding it hard to hold here. He's in that late game. Stats is in the part of the game where he's normally very comfortable with a lot of workers, you know, he has a lot of bases, but he is getting mined out, and iAsonu just won't let him expand.
Yeah. Actually, these Zealots finally started to do a lot of damage there. 35 drones left, and Stats somehow, it feels like he's climbing his way back into this game, even though his ground army right now is minimal. He needs to run away here with that one arc on any units that he can save. He's gonna be great. I wonder what those Phoenixes are gonna force from iAsonu against a bunch of Hydralisks.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, at the moment, iAsonu's just realized that he doesn't have much money left. He's getting very broke here. He has a fair bit of gas, but not much minerals and not much mineral income. Look at the saturation here on these bases.
Yeah, Stats income is actually in shambles here. It's below 1,000 in minerals. It's finally gonna climb back a little bit up. Catches a couple of the Swarmos in the middle of the map with some nice lifts there, finally.
Yeah,
kind of like our friends, you know, after a month of strike, they get back to work and people can finally travel. There we go.
Feels good, man. Locust coming in to make sure the rest of Protoss army keeps back, but the Swarm Host count did get cut into. There was 18, now there's only 9. 24 Swarm Hosts have died in this game, and iAsonu deciding to spend what little money he has to replenish the Swarm Host count, getting another 7 here. Can Stats pull this into a win? These Locusts are going to die before they get anywhere near the Nexus.
Stats has a lot of High Templars, and they're building up on energy right now. It's all 6 of them right next to his Mothership core, so they're going to be stealth as well. And here's the thing. You can fly in Overseers to try and spot this army, but Warlock Phoenix is going to attack. Overseers by default, he can feed back them as well, storm them, and then if all the Overseers die, it's going to be super hard to actually detect this army. So Stats, thanks to this Mothership right now, he's gave himself a real chance through some survival instincts, I guess we could call it that.
Yeah, some Locusts coming in here, but I mean, this isn't actually a critical base. There's no resources left at this base. They kill a cannon, and maybe they'll kill the Nexus, but Stats actually doesn't need that base anymore. It's being completely mined out.
At this point, like he already has a few Immortals, he's 3 of them. All Stats has to make is a lot of Archons and Zealots at the front. And I think with the amount of High Templars that he has, he's going to be able to keep on expanding at the bottom side of the map, and then eventually, the closer he gets to maxing out, the stronger he's going to be. Obviously, iAsonu he has a massive army in 122, but there's just so many High Templars that it's still going to be really hard for him to win a fight.
Well, most of the army is in Swarm Hosts, and they actually are only effective for a small window of time, and then they just get off charge and they don't do much attack. But this time, the Locusts are coming in, the Overseers detecting the army of Stats. Not enough for iAsonu though. Stats hold strong, and the Phoenixes are coming back as well to punish him for this.
And just like that, there's no more Overseer. This is what I was talking about. He feed back to a couple of these guys, and the Archons took care of the rest. The Phoenixes finished off the last Overseer. It's going to force way more here from iAsonu, who's right now struggling and on the verge of potentially losing that first game. After I thought he was in a really good position, Stats just refused to die.
iAsonu was nearly up 100 supply several times in this game.
I think he could have gone for it at some point on that fifth base of Stats.
Very likely. But as it stands, Stats with a fighting chance. He's deep on the creep here. Storm's going in. He has plenty of Storms going down on this army. The Mothership's going to go down, though. And iAsonu, does he have enough to clear up this army of Stats? The Phoenix is being so critical here for Stats. Picking up those Swarm Hosts, picking up the Queens as well, and taking them out. I think Stats might have finally held on and stabilized here. He's starting to catch up in army supply. His +3 attack, making his ground army so strong. And the Phoenix is actually getting bullied back by the Hydralisks. His Phoenix count actually isn't great anymore. But Stats still has a good number of Zealots. He has Archons again.
I mean, this is forcing Hydralisks, which are not going to do well against Charged Archon plus High Templars potentially. Another Mothership is going to start there. And the War Prism up there still harassing. He's kept that alive for such a long time here, these stats.
Mothership being remade here in the main to get that critical cloak back again. I mean, that cloak actually saved stats. Getting rid of those overseers, keeping these units alive under that cloak field. Oh, these Phoenixes getting caught a little bit. One of them goes down. Nearly two of them goes down to these Hydras, so it'll be very important. Again, there are a lot of Swarm hosts still alive here for iAsonu. 11 on the field at the moment. And he cannot lose more units here. Neither player could actually lose a big fight. It'll end the game.
Stats with a slightly better income, especially in gas here right now. He's doing pretty well with that. So there's going to be a lot of Archons and High Templars, which are just going to be ideal here against this army that iAsonu currently has.
And Stats has finally managed to be able to get those extra Nexi up that iAsonu kept denying with the Locust, with the Ling run-bys. So now Stats can and has stabilized here against iAsonu with this crazy style. He's coming in, he wants to go for a big attack at this fresh Nexus. Stats at the back here with a bunch of High Templar, wants to get those big storms on. And here he comes with the Archons. Where are the Zealots to tank here for the army? The Locusts are actually pulling him back.
What a crazy game, man. So action-packed, like back and forth somehow, even though like I was so ready to call it. And God knows I hate when people do that. You know, I've kept my eyes on the supply.
That's right.
And Stats, it seems like he's fully back in it. Getting ahead on army here finally.
It's so rare when you see someone be so far down in supply, manage to come back and make a real fight out of it, especially at this level of play.
Did you see resources lost?
I saw
Stats
that.
has still lost more.
Yeah, but he's still alive. He still has spellcasting units. He still has storms. He still has Archons. He still has Zealots. The Mothership going to be very critical for him again here. I don't think he has much in the Phoenix count. No, just the one Phoenix now.
600 Lings have died.
Wow, that's insane.
Press F to pay
109 Banelings and 30 Swarm hosts and 22 Queens have died in this map as well. This is a bloodbath.
Goodness gracious.
That's right. A cloak here on this Nexus to keep it alive against these Locusts.
I mean, iAsonu is broke. 34 probes, 34 drones to 49 probes. And like Stats, he's expanding faster now and he's feeling super comfortable. His harass has finally done a lot.
Yeah.
And we're at the point where iAsonu can't afford to go across the map because then he takes damage. Look at the Zealots at the top here. They could do something even though there is Hydras there. Okay, I guess he's not going to target drones.
Oh, bit of an engagement in the middle of the map here. This is very, very important here for iAsonu. Cannot lose more units. Another Queen goes down.
Yeah, the Swarmos are really far away now.
Yeah, they are.
They're kind of behind enemy lines.
Yeah, maybe they can get him a sandwich, attack with the Zerg units on the top and Locust to bully him back in, but he can still recall with his Mothership if things get dicey.
As iAsonu is making sure he gets enough overseers here. There is 4 in total, but he flies them too far forward because I think they're grouped with his units. Hey, look at this. They keep on flying forward.
Down. He doesn't quite have enough energy for a recall, actually, but it looks like he may have enough to just engage straight up, and he does. He takes a nice engagement there. And iAsonu suddenly not up in army supply anymore. Stats takes the lead in this hatchery. It's the only mining base from iAsonu when it's going to go down. If he doesn't react here, Storm's going down. Bullying back those Swarm hosts, and GG, well played. Stats coming back and taking game number 1 against iAsonu, who was up almost 100 supply twice in that game. Stats showing his mastery in this matchup. He's not going to go down to him this time.
The soup light for once here. iAsonu with 57 resources lost, Stats 61,000. Even though he lost more, he held on. That's all he needed to do. He had a more advanced tech, rich Mothership, had a lot of High Templars eventually. And iAsonu, he wounded his victim, but he didn't finish it off.
That's right.
And a boar is never as strong as when it comes back from the dead.
That's right.
Actually, I just came up with that. I have no clue.
Yeah, it's a new saying that Todd just invented, guys. Start to spread the word. Get on the social media. Go into those old sayings that your dad likes to say at the dinner table websites and start entering the new edition. A boar is never as dangerous as, what was it?
Coming back from the dead.
Coming back from the dead.
That made no sense.
You know, that doesn't actually exist. I think when a boar dies, it actually stays dead, Todd, but you know, maybe my science isn't too accurate on that one. But as we go into Defender's Landing for game number 2, it's getting interesting. This is the kind of map that I feel like iAsonu is going to enjoy. You know, it's a natural that has 2 attack points. I feel like we might be seeing another big Roach Ravager attack from iAsonu on this map with a short rush distance, with the several different entrances into that natural. Stats is going to have to lock things down pretty tightly here.
Yeah, Stats, that was a scrappy game. I think we could easily call it that. And in this case, iAsonu is the one that's going to have to stay composed. I'm pretty sure that Stats is feeling very happy with actually winning that game, even though sometimes with pro gamers, you never know. You know, you might be thinking, oh my God, like how was it so close? I'm supposed to be way better than this. Yeah. But yeah, like iAsonu is the one that's feeling the pressure right now. He's playing in front of his home crowds. And he made this a very competitive game. Like, these are almost like as fun as they can be. Those are almost the worst kind of game that you lose because just you put so much effort into it and then it feels like it's all in vain by the end.
Yeah, playing a game like that, like if you have 2 or 3 games like that in the ladder, that makes you feel like you're done. Like you play 2 or 3 late games like that and you're just like, geez, that's been in like an hour and a half of StarCraft and that is exhausting. But in the meantime, in the bottom left here, the Chinese hope. This is iAsonu. Went for the same style and game in the last series against Stats where he won. Didn't work out this time. In the top right, this guy, he's far too good. This is Splice's Stats.
Definitely one of the absolute best Protosses out there. Arguably the best Protoss. Even though these days, Zest's doing well again. There's got a couple of Protosses doing quite well.
Stats is the last Protoss in the groups as well, I think. Or to join in from today.
Yeah, from today.
So we see that iAsonu is going for a pull first here, or a gas pull before expanding. And Stats will scout this with a probe as well, so he knows iAsonu going for the early pull play. Gonna have to be a little bit careful, a little bit wary here as iAsonu transitions.
I wonder what kind of mindset like you would have if you're Stats in this kind of tournament. Like, is he just thinking about like purely the money, or like is the glory and fame still very important? Is there like pride involved? Like, obviously, he's already going to the global finals, so there's no worry about WCS points. He's got almost 10,000 anyway. Like, it feels almost unfair at this point.
Yeah, if he didn't win GSL, he would still be going.
Yeah, and in this case, like, you need to remember, what you've trained for, like all that's on the line. And Stats, like, it's weird because a lot of the time he makes Protoss look really strong, but so far in this tournament, he's definitely looked very mortal, even in the games that he won, but he still looked impressive in those games that he had a hard time in. So
with the location here, this hatchery from iAsonu, it looks like he's almost certainly going to start the pressure here. He's got a very forward hatchery expansion for, a possible... he's taking his natural at the front, basically, and he's going to probably take his 3rd hatchery in the natural, regular location. And Stats is going to scout that with the probe here as he starts to finish off that wall. Like I said, Defender's Landing has 2 attack points. You got to wall in both spots here, especially against Zerg, and it needs to get walled in very, very quickly. So it looks like Stats actually hasn't found that forward hatchery just yet. He knows from process of elimination this is where it's going to be.
He may have been getting a little bit paranoid right there, even starting to work on a wall on the left-hand side of his natural base there.
And he's fully walled off here, this collapsible tower.
And iAsonu might be playing an epic mind game there, by the way, because imagine just drawing like a madman, hoping that Stats going to be paranoid. Look at this. Stats was chrono boosting units from the gate. He's still chrono boosting the gate and not making anything right now. And he goes for a very safe robo. It's Defender's Landing. If you're a Zerg here, you can play to your image. You can mine some gas, let the Protoss think you're gonna all-in or do an attack, and then the Protoss over-makes units, under-makes probes, and you're just here droning up and taking more bases. So it's really smart here by iAsonu, I think, what we're seeing, and he's gonna get ahead quite a bit here economically, thanks to this.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's getting a 3rd hatchery. He's done nothing but make drones and overlords for a while here, and obviously get the queens of the hatcheries for injects as well. So not too many attacking units at all for iAsonu, which is surprising considering the map that we're on. He's just playing to his image here and trying to trick Stats, and so far so good. Stats is starting to get those workers back in. He's got his quota boost on that robotics facility though, trying to get immortals out as quickly as possible.
I wonder what Stats gonna do here with this, like he could go in for something like an immortal drop into mass charge load with lots of gateways. We'll see when he takes the gases on his natural base, if he even takes them, but right now I feel like he's already been pushed out of his comfort zone quite a bit here by iAsonu.
Yeah, I mean, when you're making immortals this early, it means I'm afraid of roach attacks. Like, I don't want to get killed by Roach Ravager. I see that forward hatchery, I'm afraid of a big attack. And we do see roaches are on the way, so iAsonu is going to start making them, but not as early as Stats possibly thought here. He's making 1 immortal, and now he's going to start getting the prison out because he does have a decent gateway count. Can get those adepts doing some harassment on the other side of the map.
And that creep spread, by the way, is super sick. Look at the middle of the map already. iAsonu already reaching that. That's going to help a lot against any incoming attack.
Yeah, he's making a lot of lings and roaches now. Going to get that army supply up. And maybe start to pressure Stats here. He's just warping in some stalkers to try and bully back this overlord.
Yeah. It's actually crazy that's how little Stats has scouted. Like he saw... iAsonu. Like he saw almost nothing. He saw the robo. Imagine if it had been a Dark Shrine and a robo. He has no spore and no lair. Yeah. He might have just died. He's getting 6 overlords right now. iAsonu was supply blocked here for a little bit, losing a very important overlord at a critical time. He needs to get units out.
Yeah, Stalker's picked it off there. Stats does have a Warp Prism with the Stalkers that was using to chase down the Overlord. Nice little play that you don't see every day from Stats. And he's pulling back the Sling to try and take a third Nexus. And considering he's already producing Immortals, I don't see these Roaches doing a ton for iAsonu. He's making them now and getting Ravages as well, clearing up spreading that creep, like you said, a really nice creep spread, and clearing the debris as well to give him us as much surface area as possible for engagements.
Yeah, I wonder if Stats might do a 2-base there. We don't see additional gateways just yet, but he stopped making probes for such a long time. Yeah, okay, 4 more gates. And
so Stats gonna go for a big attack.
Nexus, which was scouted by iAsonu. So iAsonu from there, he knows what's coming. All he can do right now is make basically infinite amount of Roaches and Ravagers and try and hold on with Corrosive Bile. Is he gonna come in from behind? He has vision right now, thanks to the creep. He's gonna come in from multiple sides and try and flank this army before he can set up.
That's absolutely right. iAsonu is going to want to take down these sentries, but nice Prism here from Stats, keeping those sentries alive. Using the warp in, Corrosive Bile is going down the Prism. It does go down, but not before warping in a bunch of gateway units. Is there enough here from Stats to engage? It doesn't look like it. iAsonu is actually pulling this back.
Welcome to Defenders Landing, Stats, and welcome to China. iAsonu was ready for this, came in from behind thanks to his huge creep spread. And that's just not gonna work out. iAsonu realized early enough what this was gonna be. He cut drones at 46, made a ton of units, and smashed the Protoss player.
And Stats is warping in units here, but it is desperation at this point. He's lost the Mothership Core. No more overcharges once this pylon goes down. And just Zealous being warped in against Rogue Ravagers with Queens and supporters in. That's not enough. GG! And iAsonu ties it up 1 apiece.
Really nicely executed here on one of the better maps for Zerg. iAsonu made the most of it, played to his image, mined a bunch of gas, made the Protoss really worried, made a lot of drones, which sometimes can backfire, you know? Sometimes Protoss, they make units in start and then they're like, well, I'm gonna attack since you're not throwing anything at me, and then Zerg still kind of dies, but not this time around. iAsonu made the exact right amount of drones in the first place. He was able to rush up to 46, maybe with slightly more, then took gases at the exact right time, started making units at the exact right time, focused on the creep spread, because what Stats did just there, just because the map can be really hard against Zerg, a lot of Protosses will be tempted to do, right? Because it's harder to play a normal game. So what does Protoss do? They just do 2 bases very often, sometimes with charge, and just make a lot of gateways and attack with whatever they've made so far. And in this case, iAsonu was just ready.
Yeah, played a good game there on Defenders Landing. We're going to Ascension to Aya for map number 3, though. And this is a lot better map for PvZ for Stats. And we'll see if he can close this out and get a 2-1, or if there's going to be a giant upset here in Shanghai. And iAsonu is going to take out the GSL Season 2 champion Stats. A lot on the line here. Our last map in our last series of the day. This is an elimination map, Todd. The winner of this map goes on, and the loser goes home. In the bottom right here, this is the Chinese Zerg, iAsonu!
Only you can do these players justice with your intros, man. You're the best.
I love it. And in the top left here from Splice, this is Stats.
How do you do it, man?
With my voice. It's a good skill to have. Just like making carriers.
Yeah, apparently that's nice meme.
Yeah, it's an old one. Crusty old memes. I'm a fan of them. Not as much as Rapid, but no one is a fan of crusty old memes like that guy. We have iAsonu just going for, looks to be Hatch first here, a bit more of a regular ZVP build.
Look at Stats.
That's Stats.
No scouts.
Yeah.
What a cheeky guy.
He has 0 chill here, zero chill Stats. Is going for his wall in and then sending the probe back to mining.
He may as well have been going for a proxy while he's at it, you know? Why not?
Yeah.
Playing a little bit risky, but I guess like you'd have to be crazy to go for a cheese. I guess there are certain kind of players that would always go for a cheese in the final game of a series. Remember Jadon?
Yes.
So many times.
I'll never forget Jadon.
He did it so many times. It was almost like a thing that you would know they would do, but people who still die to it because they choke super hard. Like they see like, you know, the lynx rushing or whatever it was, like the roaches. And the name.
Yeah, you gotta fear the name. The Tyrant. Big JD himself. Still kicking goals and doing well in Brood War.
Yeah.
It's good to see. Guys like him are just never going to retire, man. They're going to be around forever.
I mean, we're going to get to raise our dongers forever in his name.
That's right. JVZ lives on. We have the stats dropping this probe here. Looks like he's going to go for a bit of a proxy, probably a Stargate.
Yeah, I think that's pretty smart. iAsonu has shown that he's not the guy that always scouts the most. So if he gets really surprised here by a quick Oracle flying into his main and there's no spore, that could be a lot of drones dying from the start. And then stats, he's one of those guys that knows how to play in any situation, but especially if he's ahead.
I remember in SSL actually, stats went for a proxy Stargate like this, and he made an Oracle, but then he just started making a bunch of Phoenixes and going really Phoenix heavy with Adepts, and doing a really good job. I can't remember who it was against. It may have been Rogue actually.
So you kind of pulled a Roddy.
They did pull a Roddy, and it ended up being extremely effective, like lifting up Hydralisks, taking them out, you know, engaging them directly, even though you think that the Hydra is meant to counter the Phoenix. Not if you make enough.
Yeah. And yeah, sometimes with ground as well. DT or Adept support can be very nice, or to charge lot and Archons too. In this case, pretty sure it's going to be an Oracle at least first.
Yeah, it's such a, I mean, it makes a lot more sense to proxy an Oracle than a Phoenix or a Void Ray. It's a lot more effective, it's fast, it lasers down those drones.
There is an Overlord flying into Stats main. He still didn't go for a Stalker, so I think he's fine with the Overlord flying in and not scouting anything. I think that's going to make iAsonu even more paranoid, in which case he might start a Spore, but if you can go Adept plus Oracle, it doesn't matter what Zerg is doing, kind of, because you're still going to be preventing drones from starting. Yeah, actually, Lair starts. iAsonu might think this is a, like when you start Lair this quick, usually you think it's a Dark Shrine and some DT play a lot of the time. So that Oracle, how many kills Maynard? I'm feeling like he's gonna get 7 or 8.
Yeah, I mean, this is a naked drone line. Spore just going down now, but this is a little bit too little too late, and also not in the main. There are 2 Queens here, though. 2 Queens can do pretty well against that Oracle. It comes on straight in, going for that drone line. Will it pull back?
I think you should just sacrifice it. Nope, just gonna fly out and lose it.
Yeah, so close. This Extractor actually blocking the Queens a little bit there.
So 5 drones died total, and he lost 2 Adepts here for this. So far, not the best of trades, but because iAsonu went for a quick Lair and made a bunch of units, he actually skipped drones for a while. So a good Walker lead here for stats, 41 to 34. But Lair's about to finish, and I wonder from there, iAsonu, does he get desperate and do something like a Nidus, or is he still fine just kind of droning up and playing standard?
I feel like a Nidus would be really good on this map. I mean, it's a very wide main. He already has an Overlord in position in that main. He knows that it's very naked. Most of the production of stats is actually in his wall.
Yeah. So, the great thing, yeah, there it is, Nidus. The great thing about that is that you don't even need to get roach speed. They're going to tunnel across the map into the opponent's base. You just make Queens, Roaches, you just run them in there.
That's right, run the Roaches in. Big rush distance matters not when you have the Nidus coming from underneath. We see that charge and +1 is the transition here for stats. He's going for his regular army, but not regular play coming here for iAsonu, and this is the way to beat a defensive macro Protoss, and that is to pull a fast one on him. The Nidus still unscouted here for stats.
Oh, that would be such a huge upset if iAsonu beats Stats here. Are you kidding me? Rank 1 in the WCS Korea standings, almost 10,000 points. Guaranteed the global finals.
Oh my god, Stats sees it though. The probe sees the Nidus. Does he even have enough units to burn it down before all the Roaches come out? He desperately is warping in some units now to try and get rid of this Nidus. If this Nidus pops up and the Queens get through the transfuse and the Roaches pop out, it is going to be a tough hold here. Stats pulls back with his Oracles. He's lasering down his Queens. They are transfusing, but they're transfusing each other. The Nidus gets out the units. Does Stats have too much here for iAsonu? No, the Leagues are actually coming in to help out a lot here. Pylon's overcharging. Stats with 1 more overcharge on that Pylon.
iAsonu, he needs more right here. He needs to tunnel more units. Stats gonna pull back a little bit. Wait for the Oracle that gets snapped instantly here by the Queens that are left over.
Oh man, it's very dicey here. iAsonu may actually be able to break through. The probe's coming off the line. More reinforcements here for iAsonu. The Nidus is starting to lose a little bit of steam though. Stats is losing probes. iAsonu shooting ahead in supply.
And Charge is about to finish as most of the Zealots have already died. 5 more will get warped in, but it looks like they're going to take a lot of damage before Charge even finishes there.
The Roaches are in a lovely spot. They can't get the big surrounds on the Zealots. They get rid of the Nidus Worm. The Roaches still alive. They're going to start taking out these gateway units. iAsonu remaking that Nidus Worm. He's going to try and get it back into the main. And Stats losing his Mothership Core. He has 1 overcharge. There it is on that Pylon. Another Nidus Worm expense. And more Roaches coming in to reinforce. He desperately tries to get it down with the Zealots. And he does. But again, there's a whole bunch of Roaches in his main that he can't deal with.
Stats lost so many probe and is still losing more here. Overcharge is gonna buy him a little bit of time, but there's still so many roaches left over that iAsonu can just run that into the natural.
And the wall's not plugged, so links are starting to flood across as well. I mean, iAsonu's man, the Nidus were a major win in the game here. Arcon's trying to be made, but there's still too many roaches. I think iAsonu may have done it here, Todd. Oh my God, there it is! GG! iAsonu, he's eliminated the GSL champion Gumiho and just eliminated Season 2 champion Stats here in China. What an incredible home ground performance from iAsonu, and he is going to get so much love from the crowd here. What a god! Oh man, what a huge series. iAsonu getting the handshake there, and this win would matter so much more to him. This is his best performance ever here at home ground in Shanghai, and he makes it to the round of 8. What an upset here in Shanghai, Todd. Cannot believe what I'm seeing.
2 Chinese players in the round of 16 here heading into this tournament, and I think most people would have counted them out, thought that they'd lose for sure, especially when you looked at these groups. But this guy, he's on absolute fire right now. And you know what? I'm pretty hyped for Time as well, that's going to play tomorrow.
Time is very well in
super
GSL.
well, but he has an incredible group too. But iAsonu, this is by far the best performance, I think, here that I've ever seen here from him.
Absolutely.
In some games like this. Even though, like, you might look at it and be like, oh, he was a Nidus. Well, he was the brilliant move. He was the right move.
Yeah.
He took out Stats, one of the best players in the world.
And as a win is a win, man. It doesn't matter how you get it. iAsonu managing to get a 2-1 upset of a Stats is such an incredible performance here in Shanghai. Incredible games all day long. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be closing off the stream. We'll see you soon, guys.
Hey Internet, call it an upset if you will, but certainly the fans in China Joy Center is having a blast that Sonu has finally advanced to round of 8.
Yeah. Hello everyone. I'm so glad I did it. I never thought I could make it. So I'm very happy and I'm proud standing in my country and win the game.
Attaboy, definitely Sonu. So in the first game, and the first time you played against Stats, you swarm host, you went into like long games. But definitely in game 2 and 3, you changed things up. Was that to just exhaust him?
No, I was frustrated when I lost the first game because I think I had a huge advantage, but I lost him. I was so upset. So in the second and the third game, I just did what I planned. It works out. I'm very happy I did it.
I can definitely see joy in your eye. All right, so lastly, now to the 1.4 billion strong, all your fans out there, say what you want, a little piece, please.
It's just a small step in the tournament, but I think it's a huge step for Chinese player.
It definitely is, Thank you very much. So now we're gonna go back to the desk, and I am done here. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Mal. You certainly are done there. iAsonu, oh my God, he played so well in this group, knocking out 2 champions?
Yeah, he takes down Gumiho and everyone's like, well, maybe Gumiho has a bad day. We didn't get to see it on stream. He just sort of died. And then the next thing we know, he's up heavily in game number 1 against Stats, manages to lose the game, and at that point, you've got to think Stats is going through this group. Nuh-uh. He comes back, wins 2-1, and
yeah, I find it unbelievable, Artosis, I really do, like in many ways, but with the way that it happened makes it even crazier. The fact that he was playing such a fantastic game 1 as the underdog, going up against Stat, doing so many things right, having perhaps so many opportunities to close out the game. In the end, it didn't work. And I would just be like, man, like he must be mentally defeated right now. Like this was his shot, his one chance to go up 1-0. Well, apparently it wasn't his one chance because he somehow wins game 2 and 3. They were a little bit more cheesy, but I mean, defender's landing, he just smacked the push down, and that was incredibly well done by him. And in game 3, it's just like, all right, you know, we're going to ride or die with it. Roaches and Nidus networks. And yeah, just an awesome performance by this Chinese Zerg.
It's really quite amazing to see because, as you said, that first game, that could have been game of the year, really. It's one of the most miraculous comebacks I've ever seen. So,
and it wasn't even like a comeback where it once was a comeback and then suddenly, like, you know, he started taking control. Like, no, he was always down. Like, even though Stats felt like he was doing a lot of things right, every time you look at the supply, as Todd was like, you know, here, like, look at it. We're like, we're looking. It's like minus 30, minus 40. It's like one point he's like minus 70. He's like, no Protoss can win this, right? Well, apparently there was one. Just an awesome game, but obviously an even crazier series that iAsonu can come back from that while being that far ahead, losing game 1 and then still getting it together. That's even more impressive than defeating 2 GSL champions, which is already the most impressive thing there is.
Oh, I know. As you look at this bracket, this group was out of control. There were 2-1s all over the place, upsets. Like the 2 GSL champions are the ones that get eliminated from it. We already have a Chinese player into the round of 8. Just wild.
You see Wex.
GPL owns GSL. How do you argue against this, right? The GSL champions getting 4th and 3rd place in here.
It's getting bigger. No, it's silly. I don't think anybody would have predicted this. I think a safe prediction would have been the 2 GSL champs. And obviously you can always make a case for Rogue because Rogue is very good and there is always a shot. iAsonu was a massive underdog. I think a lot of people thought that both Chinese players were going to be eliminated. I mean, it was crazy. Remember when Jim won his group with like IEM, I think Shenzhen 2014, or maybe that was in Shanghai too, where he had this group with like Tasia and Son or something, and he won his group, and everyone was like, that's amazing. Well, this is pretty much just as amazing.
Yeah, as amazing, if not more so at this point in the game's life. But let's take a look at Bracket A as well. Definitely a little bit more decisive overall, I would say. Like Penguin kind of bombing out, TY just devastating their group, and of course, you know, Dark versus Bunny. That was a good match, though.
Yeah, I think Bunny, the results are expected, but I think the games had so much more to say. You know, Bunny came in, he really pushed Dark to his limits. Even if Dark was not feeling it today, Bunny, to give us those games, was very impressive on his own. So a tough loss for him, but TY and Dark going through, I think, is what everyone thought was going to happen.
Yeah, I think for day 1 Intel Extreme Masters, we had a couple of really good games, like a couple of absolute games that you would recommend your friends and are worth watching. But I think the 2 that stood out the most is obviously Abyssal, Stats, iAsonu. But I also think Dark versus Bunny, the Decider series, the game on Odyssey, because that's Dark's tournament live on the line as well. And that's where you can see that he has the heart of a champion, because there's not many Zergs who would have kept it together at that point with tournament live on the line. Sick game.
Well, I think at this point, like, the tournament is broke pretty wide open, right? We already have 3 Zergs advancing into the round of 8 and a single Terran in TY, who's, by the way, looking completely unbeatable at the moment. But, I mean, this is just kind of making the brackets look a lot different from, I think, what we were expecting coming into today.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the fact that one of our main Protoss hopes has already fallen is extremely concerning because Trust has a really difficult group coming up tomorrow. I mean, Heroes group is very doable, but after what's happened today, we might not have a Protoss in the round of 8.
Well, we should take a look at the schedule for tomorrow anyways, just to kind of show you guys what we have coming up. Of course, we're going to start off with Sue versus Time. Time is the real deal. This guy was in Codes this season. He put out some great games there, but I mean, is Sue not like the best Zerg in the whole world? 6 GSL finals? Come on.
Yeah, it's an awesome series. I mean, Solar versus Hero is going to be super fun as well. I think Marty makes a good point there. It's like, okay, you know, we already knew that it was going to be low on the Protosses, but I was like, well, the few Protosses that are here are probably going to make at least quarters, maybe even semis, depends who they play. But Stats bombing out already. That kind of put almost all hopes of the Protoss, you know, higher force on the shoulders of Hero, because if Hero doesn't do it, I mean, Trust with those 3 Terrans, I mean, you don't want to put anybody's fate, you know, if they have those 3 in that group.
No, certainly not. You could name any one of those guys as the tournament winner, but Hero is on fire, and this is Intel Extreme Masters, of which he has the most titles. So,
I mean, indeed it is, but I mean, Solo's been winning a lot lately. Sue has just come out of a GSL final again. I mean, is it not time for Sue and Solo to do really well at a weekend event? I mean, these are the events that Solo used to love, you know? He used to do so well at all of the DreamHacks we used to compete in. It's a really tough format, I think, for Hero. You know, he plays Solo first as well, so he isn't even guaranteed a winner's match or position.
I mean, I can't really argue that, but if those two get out, isn't this suddenly looking like we're doing a European tournament? Just a bunch of Zergs in the round of 8?
I know. Hopefully Hero does well. I mean, you put all your faith on him, so I believe in you as well, Tosis. That's going to be good. It was such a good day one. Hopefully day 2 is going to be even better. I know I get really excited when I see like Maru, Innovation, and Beyond in the same group. I mean, I'm a Protoss player, but those are the TVTs that I want to sit for and be like, all right, let's go ahead and enjoy it.
Yeah, that Group D is just so crazy indeed. This is a great tournament already, so I hope you guys really are spreading the word as we move through. You know, we have 3 days left, and it's just going to be crazy games throughout. I mean, I was not expecting this quality of games out of that Group B, but I don't know if anything's going to be able to beat that in the coming days.
Yeah, hopefully we didn't peak too early.
Yeah, I hope not. Honestly, I think it's impossible to peak when you've got Innovation taking on Maru and Beyond tomorrow, and it's going to be incredible.
All right, guys. Well, I think that is just about that for day 1 of the Intel Extreme Masters in Shanghai. Thanks so much for tuning in, and make sure you're here tomorrow, same time, same place.